But it doesn't mean that Hillary would have been a good choice
No.
either. She was a terrible choice. She's a corrupt politician, one of the most unlikable people that's ever run for office. She, in so many ways,
Crazy shit.
And they were trying to get it. They were trying to get people to be supporting her just because she's a woman. There was a lot of that. It's like, this is going to be her history. You know, women, ladies, I stand with her. So there's all these women that have this blind allegiance towards this career.
Hillary is just like almost an android.
What do you mean by that?
She's not like, can you imagine talking with her about like human pain and like stuff that you're going through? Absolutely, like it wouldn't
Register.
You would exactly. You would never be able to reach her heart.
She failed to secure the presidency, reframed that defeat as if it were destiny, and yet still appears incapable of locating the metaphorical exit sign. While the rest of America moved forward, she lingered like a stubborn political pop-up advertisement. Loud, outdated, and utterly impossible to close. Joe Rogan and Patrick Bet-David aren't stepping in for a polite debate. They've arrived to bulldoze decades' worth of carefully manufactured political fiction. From the shadows of email controversies to the murky haze surrounding her foundation, they are cutting straight through the legend with razor-sharp wit, biting sarcasm, and cold, unflinching facts sharp enough to shred every recycled excuse she has ever hurled at the public.
For what really is going on. Like, I was infuriated when people that I knew that I was friends with were trying to tell me that Hillary Clinton was a good choice. And that's the same choice. I'm like, look, I don't know if she's murdered people, but I know that I worry that she's murdered people. That's a real, I really wonder. Like, this Seth Rich shit.
I know, first of all, just leave, you don't even need to go there. You know,
there's so many other things.
There's so many other things that we know for a fact.
The Clinton Foundation, for instance.
What was Hillary like? I hear she's a sweetheart.
Really? That's a joke, right?
Obviously, I'm being.
That's
I'm being
oh my god!
I just wanted to see a reaction.
That's one person that's not a sweetheart. That's not a sweetheart.
What was she like?
She's very cynical and jaded.
Cynical or jaded? So that means at one point she wasn't cynical and jaded.
I probably wasn't.
Hillary Clinton still struts around as though the presidency were a debt owed to her, as if the White House were her permanently reserved table, and some audacious stranger had the nerve to sit in her chair. This sense of delusion isn't merely baked into her worldview. It's lavishly frosted with entitlement and dusted with the fading perfume of a political legacy. Joe Rogan and Patrick Bet-David didn't have to conjure up fresh material for this roast. All they needed to do was gesture toward the trail of political breadcrumbs she's been scattering. Since the 90s, crumbs drenched in scandal, marinated in media spin, and paired with speeches that sound like a malfunctioning robot lost a drunken bet with a teleprompter.
If I have 10 people that at one point in my life were best friends, and prior to meeting me, they had never done cocaine before. These 10 people, 10 out of 10, eventually became cocaine addicts and killed themselves, simply by association with me. I probably have some bad influence on these people. This lady named Hillary Clinton, one too many of her best friends or close friends have committed suicide in the random ways. She is not the most trusted person, even by the left. She was supposed to be president.
People stop talking about, do you remember when they blamed Benghazi on some bullshit
video
movie? Yeah, some video that someone made.
Right.
Was it like the Tears of Muslims or something like that? Or I forget that.
Nobody even knew it existed.
Nobody knew it existed.
Yeah.
And everybody knew it was bullshit.
Right.
And they were pushing that as a narrative. Like, this is what was the motivation behind. And everybody.
She managed to repackage defeat as though it were a charming personality trait. And not just any defeat, but one of the most spectacular political faceplants in modern history. Yet she still marches about as if the nation made a colossal mistake. And she's merely biding her time until America comes to its senses. Like a bitter ex waiting for a tearful reunion. Her political career isn't a noble journey, it's a rerun that nobody requested to see rebooted. And yet, here she appears once again, offering sideline commentary like a coach who never won a single game, but insists that the whistle around her neck still holds power.
Out of this list, who's the most important?
Out of this list, it's Bill Clinton. But Bill Clinton will not say shit. Hillary Clinton will not say anything. He's the former president of the United States. When did he leave office? 25 years ago. You think retroactively Bill Clinton is going to be held responsible for anything? Zero. The only person who's ever been attempted to be held responsible for anything is Donald Trump. Why? Because the entire system, the entire swamp was trying to get him. And even then, it didn't work. And by the inch of a bullet, he's still here.
Joe Rogan spotted the smoke and dove straight into the fire without a shred of hesitation. Hillary's entire sales pitch to voters could be boiled down to one line: I'm not the other guy. The problem, she forgot to be someone the public could actually like. She invested more energy into buffing and polishing her public image than into genuinely connecting with real people. The end result was a meticulously manufactured facade that eventually buckled beneath the sheer weight of her own social awkwardness. Patrick Bet David didn't even need to take a hard swing. All he had to do was hold up her greatest hits, the shifting accents, the awkward pandering. The classic "I was for it before I was against it" verbal gymnastics.
So there's all these women that have this blind allegiance towards this career politician. It's completely full of shit. She's been full of shit forever. If you watch the conversation between James Comey, when James Comey testified about what he did and what they found with the Hillary Clinton emails, and then her version of it, she's just a straight liar.
Yeah.
She deleted 30.
Let's delve into the infamous email saga. Yes, the emails. Hillary treated classified government information as if it were nothing more than crumpled grocery receipts, casually tucking them away on private servers as though she were secretly designing the worst escape room in recorded history. She couldn't erase public trust fast enough, and when the backlash inevitably arrived, she behaved as though the entire nation simply failed to grasp the wonders of modern technology. Patrick called it exactly what it was: a masterclass in evading accountability, plated with a smug grin and served alongside a server stuffed with denials.
Bill Clinton officiated your wedding with Huma, your wife, if I'm not mistaken.
Correct.
So you've been very close, and your wife, is it still wife or is it ex-wife? I think it's separated since 2017, right?
We're separated. We co-parent Jordan, but we're separated.
Okay. And, you know, she was a right-hand person to Hillary Clinton in 2016 while the scandal was taking place.
For years before that, she was with Hillary for, she's 20 years.
And the whole thing with the life insurance, you know, the email, 650,000, the one folder with the word life insurance and the files that are in there. So the next thing that people said you got to ask him is the following. So, you know, Rob, if you can pull up this story, I'm not going to buy into this one. Well, 9 out of 12 cops, NYPD, who saw the email and saw what was in that laptop, you know, committed suicide. And it was, you know, 7 of them since June, and it was the most ever that this took place. And
Joe took one glance at the carefully curated public persona she had spent years constructing: the iconic pantsuits, the choreographed smiles, the "I'm just like you" photo ops, and saw straight through it as if it were made of nothing but fog and campaign dollars. Her attempts at relatability landed with all the authenticity of a billionaire, awkwardly trying to blend in at a dingy dive bar. Not a single note hit. Every personal anecdote sounded as though it had been drafted by one committee, then sent to another for humanization, only to emerge as something so dry, lifeless, and stilted that it left voters shifting uncomfortably in their seats. And when she strayed off script, Joe Rogan, chuckling between sentences, broke down how every attempt at seeming relatable backfired harder than a college sophomore's first homemade rocket launch. She tried to be warm, she tried to be tough, she tried to be cool, and still somehow ended up as none of the above, just a stiff, mechanical figure gliding across campaign stages, propelled entirely by the inertia of obligation.
Big problem. That Clinton Foundation is fucking insane. And all these people that were blind supporters of Hillary that didn't look at that, like, how do you not find a giant problem with that?
Right, right. And that book by Schweitzer talks about it. He goes in detail about that stuff.
Yeah, I'm sure. How's that guy staying
I'm
alive?
surprised. That's what I was just going to say. After the
he's
Clinton
not going
cash,
after the Russians.
dude, Clinton cash was bad enough. This one's
Yeah.
even worse. I'm surprised he's not dead.
I wonder how many people are actually.
Joe didn't pull a single punch. He tore into her foreign policy record as if it were a brutal reality show elimination round. Libya, a full-blown disaster. Syria, a haze of confusion. Her globe-trotting tour of political blunders left behind more chaos and instability than a Monopoly board flipped in rage. She was always armed with a speech, a smirk, and a slogan, just never a plan that actually made coherent sense. And yet, every time, she stood there with her chest puffed out, as though she just single-handedly solved climate change, while the world quietly smoldered behind her. And then there was the Clinton Foundation, a nonprofit that somehow raked in money like it was peddling state secrets rather than saving lives. Patrick didn't even need to speculate. The numbers shouted louder than any of her campaign rallies ever did. Foreign donations, shady entanglements, and a hazy blur between charity work and political influence. This wasn't a foundation. It was a cash funnel in the costume of goodwill. All the while, she carried herself as though disagreeing with Her was not a matter of opinion, but an outright assault on equality itself.
The Hillary Clintons are the people that are like maybe disrespectful to the servers, and you find out about it, they sent food back.
The Democrat wall of support for Hillary Clinton's use of a private, unsecure server for official government emails and attachments. Yeah, I remember all of that.
It's not the main guy, it's the support staff.
Her party rallied to her defense. And to this day, it maintains she did nothing wrong. Of course.
The main people are not the president.
As if that woman has a scintilla of credibility on any issue related to national security.
The main
They
people
need
are
the
the
people to
people
do
that
it.
are running Raytheon,
Yeah.
the people that are running these gigantic companies that make weapons.
Exactly what is her list of successes? From Haiti to Benghazi, she was a total...
That card was played so many times it began to resemble a warped record. Spinning inside a burning jukebox, Joe's takedown of that tactic was both merciless and surgical, stripping away the layers to reveal the manipulation hiding beneath its Fox empowerment costume. And then came the Grand Russia Blame Tour, according to Hillary. Moscow was responsible for everything short of physically pulling the fire alarm. At her campaign headquarters, everyone and everything was at fault except her, the media, the FBI, the Green Party, the voting machines, even the weather, if it existed. She found a way to point a finger at it. Rogan and Bette David took turns peeling that political onion, uncovering layer after layer of deflection, each one wrapped snugly in the silk of elite denial. She didn't lose because of foreign interference. She lost because the public saw through her. She drifted through Washington like a fog bank in human form, more concerned with rehearsing for her own coronation than actually serving the people. She wasn't a lawmaker. She was a placeholder, simply biding her time until the next campaign cycle came calling.
And rightly so, but people forget this. She did talk about a firefight that she was involved in.
I was under sniper fire. And the worst thing about that people didn't give a shit about, she said when she was in Bosnia, she was under sniper fire. It's like, wait a minute, you're throwing the Secret Service under the bus. Because what kind of Secret Service is going to let the First Lady run under sniper fire? And she just basically...
And when Benghazi entered the conversation, Hillary executed her finest display of political gymnastics, a routine of denial, evasive pivots, and carefully curated selective memory. It was a full performance. The grieving families wanted answers. The nation wanted clarity. What they got instead was a buffet of word salads, each bite flavored with regret and seasoned with poor judgment. Rogan ripped into that moment as a defining turning point, the instant when the polished mask slipped, revealing the cold, calculated indifference lurking beneath the scripted lines. This wasn't leadership. It was PR damage control masquerading as crisis management. Her media strategy was equally divorced from reality. Hillary insulated herself inside a bubble of sycophants and consultants who believed focus groups were more valuable than human instinct. Every move, every phrase, every subtle tilt of the head was meticulously manufactured. She was never a champion for truth, not even close. Her administration's stance was simple: classify everything now, explain nothing later. And anyone who dared to leak information wasn't a whistleblower or a patriot. They were a threat to be neutralized. So much for the transparency she loved to campaign on.
So many other things.
There's so many other things that we know for a fact.
The Clinton Foundation, for instance.
So, the Iraq War. I'm old enough, Joe, to remember when being for the Iraq War was a disqualifier in a Democratic primary. That's where I'm from. That's why she lost to Barack Obama the first goddamn time she ran.
Right.
And all of a sudden, we're supposed to... Now people, like Joy Behar says, that was a long time ago. Forget about it. Why don't you go tell that to a soldier's... to a mother.
Patrick's breakdown of her double standards was a masterclass in the art of the surgical roast. Clean, calculated, and devastatingly precise. Joe, meanwhile, tackled her post-2016 speaking circuit the way a sports commentator dissects a losing team's game. Footage. She transitioned seamlessly from the campaign trail to the cash trail, pocketing hefty speaking fees from banks, tech conglomerates, and any organization willing to pay for a VIP photo op. With a once formidable power broker turned has-been, Hillary Clinton effectively became the keynote speaker for irrelevance, charging top dollar to repackage old failures in fresh layers of rhetorical lipstick. These speeches weren't moments of inspiration, they were transaction receipts. And every time she resurfaces to dispense political advice, the national cringe is almost audible. She has a remarkable talent for showing up precisely when no one asked, drifting into drop a tone-deaf opinion, then vanishing as if she'd just done the country a favor. Rogan compared it to watching someone crash a dinner party, only to lecture the host on proper etiquette. It's like spotting someone in a Che Guevara t-shirt arguing passionately For more corporate tax loopholes, Bet David nailed the contradiction, with ruthless accuracy, exposing the hollow shell that remains of her political identity.
You know what people stop talking about? Do you remember when they blamed Benghazi on some bullshit
Video.
movie?
Yeah.
Some video that someone made.
Right.
Was it like the Tears of Muslims or something like that? Or I forget the...
Nobody even knew it existed.
Nobody knew it existed. And
Yeah.
everybody knew it was bullshit.
Right.
And they were pushing that as a narrative. Like, this is what was the motivation behind. And
the
everybody...
worst part, she's still floating trial balloons about running again. Like a bad sequel nobody greenlit, primed to tank ratings and drain attention spans everywhere. Joe and Patrick could barely keep straight faces. The notion of Hillary Clinton stepping into yet another race isn't just delusion. It's weaponized nostalgia from someone utterly incapable of reading the room. The Room, mind you, left years ago, and she's still on stage, rehearsing a monologue for an audience that long since changed the channel. She treats public rejection like a clerical scheduling error rather than a referendum, as though the entire world simply missed their cue to erupt in applause, but they didn't miss it. They made their choice, twice. And still, Hillary paces the stage as if the cameras are just running late. Joe and Patrick zeroed in on that stubborn refusal to step out of the spotlight. This isn't ambition, it's ego supercharged with a power complex even the DNC has grown weary behind closed doors. There's an unspoken relief every time she hints at running, but stops short of committing. The party has moved on, the people have moved on, but Hillary, she's the political ghost haunting every election cycle, rattling the chains of lost opportunities and shattered narratives, only to have Joe and Patrick read them back to her, footnotes included.
They rigged the DNC. They rigged the primaries so that Bernie Sanders was going to lose. She had her people into the DNC
that was crazy.
way in advance. That Donna Brazile book about it is mind blowing.
Yes.
Yeah.
The thing was, he was packing fucking stadiums.
Yeah.
She couldn't even fill a fucking high school gymnasium.
Right. But she was pulling all the strings, and she had all the favors that she was pulling in, and she had a shit ton of money behind her, and they were completely arrogant, and all the liberal elite in the media thought there was no chance that she was going to lose. She's 95% shoe-in to win the presidency, and she walked around like she was...
And still, she lingers, waiting for the next camera, the next platform, the next round of applause that never actually arrives. The roast never truly ends because her ambition never sleeps. But neither do the roasters. The punchlines practically write themselves. She continues pacing the sidelines like a quarterback benched 3 seasons ago, clutching a playbook no one's run in years. The more she talks, the louder the silence from voters grows. It's not that the public forgot. It's that they've watched this rerun far too many times. The same lines, the same spin, the same stiff, mechanical performance pretending to be passion. Joe and Patrick didn't need to manufacture a grand finale. They simply pointed out how her story plays out the same way every time. Not the groundbreaking glass ceiling shatterer she sold to the world, but a cautionary tale in a pantsuit who confused ambition for connection and political spin for genuine leadership. And so, the roast remains unfinished because Hillary's saga keeps looping, uninvited, unwanted, unstoppable. Joe and Patrick don't even have to say goodbye. They just keep pulling receipts from a closet she swears is spotless.